ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवा भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्ट्वागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमि स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let's just chant the karikas, not the mantras from the beginning, but just the verses written by Gaudapada. We got them karikas 1 to 5. Karika 1, the verses. You can repeat after me. Bahish pragyo vibhur vishvo, Bahish pragyo vibhur vishvo, Yanta pragyastu tejasaha, Yanta pragyastu tejasaha, Ghana pragyastatha pragya, Ghana pragyastatha pragya, Eka eva tridha smritaha, Eka eva tridha smritaha, Dakshinakshi mukhe vishvo, Dakshinakshi mukhe vishvo, Manasyantastu tejasaha, Manasyantastu tejasaha, Akashe cha hridi pragya, Akashe cha hridi pragya, Tridha dehe vyavasthitaha, Tridha dehe vyavasthitaha. Then number 3. Vishvo hi sthulabhung nityam, Vishvo hi sthulabhung nityam, Tejasa pravivikta bhok, Tejasa pravivikta bhok, Ananda bhuktatha pragya, Ananda bhuktatha pragya, Tridha bhogam nibodhata, Tridha bhogam nibodhata, Sthulam tarpayate vishvam, Sthulam tarpayate vishvam, Praviviktam tu tejasam, Praviviktam tu tejasam, Anandascha tatha pragyam, Anandascha tatha pragyam, Tridha triptim nibodhata, Tridha triptim nibodhata. Number 5. Trishu dhamasu yad bhojyam, Trishu dhamasu yad bhojyam, Bhoktayascha prakirtita, Bhoktayascha prakirtita, Vedaitad ubhayam yastu, Vedaitad ubhayam yastu, Sabhunjano na lipyate, Sabhunjano na lipyate. So in the Mandukya Upanishad and the Mandukya Karikas which we are studying, we saw the self is analyzed as having 4 aspects. The self is analyzed as is demonstrated as having 4 aspects. 4 aspects means, really speaking, it is actually pure consciousness, and it is experienced in 3 ways. It is experienced in 3 ways. One is what we experience as the waking state. This state. In the waking state, with a physical body, and of course the subtle body, the mind also, we experience a physical universe. We experience it in terms of sights and sounds and smell and touch and taste and all of this. So we experience a physical universe. That's one experience. The another experience is the same consciousness that is experienced in a subtle universe. We experience it in the form of dreams. And the third one is a blankness, a deep sleep, where there is no specific experience at all. So these are the three states in which we experience ourselves: a waking state, a dream state, and a deep sleep state. In each of these states, we can speak of the individual and the cosmic. Okay, before that, so the example I have given earlier of gold, which is fashioned into three different kinds of ornaments. So you have a golden necklace, you have a golden bangle, you have a golden earring. Let's suppose the same piece of gold. It is fashioned by a jeweler into a necklace. And maybe years later it is melted down and then again fashioned into a bangle. And then again maybe it's melted down and made into a ring or something. Now, the three names are different: bangle, necklace, ring. The three forms are different. They look different. The three functions are different. A bangle is something you put here, and a necklace is something you put here, and a ring is something you put on your fingers. So the functions are different, the names are different, the forms are different. But in reality, it is the same material, not even the same type of material. It is literally the same material which appears as the bangle, and again as the necklace, and again as the ring, which appears here and here and here, which has different names: bangle, necklace, ring. And yet it's the same reality. Now what is being said here is, it is the same consciousness which is experienced as this waking state. It's the same consciousness which is experienced as the dream experience. It's the same consciousness again which is experienced as the deep sleep experience. Now, so these are the three aspects: waking, dreaming, deep sleep. Three aspects of the self. The gross, let us call it the self in its gross manifestation, self in its subtle manifestation, self in its causal manifestation. In Sanskrit, Sthula, Sukshma, Karana. Yes.
Swamiji, just taking that example of the gold,
Yes.
each turning into three different things, they are now equally important.
Yes.
All three.
Yes.
So in that, can we carry that forward and say all three of these stages, that may be gross or subtle, so different form,
Yes.
but they're equally important?
Or rather, they're equally unimportant. Think about it. Are the necklace and the bangle and the ring equally important? With respect to gold, they are all equally unimportant, because it's the gold which is important. What Vedanta wants to tell you is, all three are equally unimportant because they are not real. In all of those three, the three kinds of jewels which we saw, what was important? The substance. What would you touch? The gold itself. What would you weigh? The gold itself. What would you pay for? Basically, is the gold itself. So what is important and valuable and real? Because it's important because it's real. What's real? The gold itself. In the same way, in all of them, what's real? It's that consciousness itself. That's what the Mandukya wants to say. What is the teaching of the Mandukya? Our present state is, we think they are not equally important. We think the waker is most important. Why? Because the waker is like fully real. And the dreamer is something that you do when the waker is not fully functional. You lie down and you relax and you have some dreams inside. So it's not really real. And the deep sleep is, it seems to us from our waker's point of view, basically nothing, a kind of situation of being switched off, rest. So this is rest, and this dreaming is just dreaming, relaxation. And waking is the real important thing. So this is waking world, this is important, this body is important, this is who I am. So our approach, common sense approach, the way we are in our ignorance, according to Vedanta, is we privilege the waker above everything else. Whereas, what Vedanta wants to say is, it's like saying the bangle alone is important. No. What Vedanta wants to say is that the gold is important, whether it's a bangle or a necklace or a ring. Similarly, it is consciousness itself which is important, whether it appears as a waker, dreamer, or deep sleeper. Wait, one second. Are you done?
No.
Yes.
Can I follow?
Yes.
So, in these three states, just based on one's experience,
Yes.
in your deep sleep state or in dreaming, you have no volition.
Hmm.
So we have to state that in our waking state,
Hmm.
even though it may be just the same as the other two, you are able to fashion how much you want to. You can have a nightmare or a pleasant dream that you can't get out of. But given this knowledge, we should be able to, therefore, in our waking state, be able to step away or not.
Step away from what?
The dream or the nightmares or the good and the bad, what is thrown at us.
So you are saying that in the waking state we have free will and others we don't.
But I'm asking, do we or do we not?
The lecture after the next one, we have a lecture coming up. Do we have free will? I invite you to attend that lecture. That's not this Sunday, it's on Chaitanya. The Sunday after that, there's a lecture, do we have free will? And don't come expecting a solution to this problem. It's an ancient problem. Every religion, every philosophy has had something to say with it, and still today we are struggling with it. Even neuroscience has something new to say about it. But till today we have come to no solution. Does the waker have volition or free will or not? And if so, to what extent? It seems we do. But upon investigation, well, you'll see what we'll talk about in that talk on 2 Sundays hence. But I'll point out one thing. You know what the Mandukya would say to you when you say that? The dreamer also feels that he has got free will. You don't feel in a dream, oh, I have no free will. You feel that, you feel just like this. You feel just like this, right? So, yes, your question.
I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks, and I thought maybe I discovered a fourth state, but I imagine I haven't. But there are neurological problems that we have. We call it an awakening state. We call it, Alzheimer's or schizophrenia and all of these related things.
Yes.
Where would you put those? They seem very real to the person who's having them.
Yes.
So where would you put those? Would that be like a dream state?
Schizophrenia or say Alzheimer's and all of that, that is experience, right?
Very much.
So it's an object of experience.
Yes.
It could be in the waking state, and in a dream state also I could experience impaired functionality.
Yes.
Yes. So it's an object of experience. It's like having a fever, for example. You have a flu or the fever, right? So physical illness, and this is illness of the subtle body, of the mind. Yeah. But what it does not change is that it appears to consciousness. The fourth stage which you're talking about is this basically. Number 4 here. This is the one reality which appears as the 3. See, the whole shift which Mandukya is forcing us to take a look at is that we think we don't know about the fourth one. Basically, in this paradigm, what we know about is 1, 2, 3. And we think 1 is real and 2 or 3 are secondary, unimportant. The second one is of importance only to you or to your therapist, the dreams. And the third one is of importance to almost nobody. Whereas Vedanta says all 3 are important, but also they all point to one unchanging awareness behind all 3, in which all 3 are appearing. They are constantly trying to tell us, take a stand from this position and see that we go through these 3 kinds of experience in our lives. A causal, a subtle, and a gross or physical experience.
So,
yeah.
Did you answer my question?
Do you think...
Where do those crazy states go? Are those what we call crazy states? Or abnormal states like Alzheimer's or...
It could be in the waking world.
Schizophrenia, is that waking state?
Yes, you are whatever you experience it in the whatever you experience in the waking world is part of the waking world.
Okay.
And a similar thing, if you experience in dream world, it would be part of the dream world. Yes.
But, I'm sorry to interrupt, but sleeping is, you really experience sleeping.
Yes.
Totally, completely.
Yes.
You're experiencing it.
Right.
Well, schizophrenia is the same way. I don't think you feel that it's in a waking world. Maybe you do. Alzheimer's, I don't know. Maybe you think if you're in Alzheimer's that you're in a waking world, but I think you feel like you're in a totally different place.
True, it might be a kind of impaired functioning. Because of impaired functioning, you don't feel fully conscious and alert. But even an Alzheimer's patient, if that person sleeps and dreams, might not be an Alzheimer's patient in the dream. Might be a dream of childhood quite free from the Alzheimer's. That means the consciousness itself can dress up in a subtle body quite free of the Alzheimer's of the waking state, based upon memories of the past. And when you see the blankness of deep sleep, there is no specific experience. So neither the experience of health, nor the experience of Parkinson's, nor the experience of Alzheimer's, nor even the worst of schizophrenia, nothing is there in deep sleep. And yet we have to admit that there is an experience called deep sleep. It's not a particular experience, it's rather all experiences crushed together into a mass, into an indistinguishable mass. That's what it says. All right.
Sorry, this paradigm is applied universally, meaning it is not only to us humans, but to other lokas, other realm of existence. Or this is just...
It generally applies to everybody. I even read a paper on ants. I was surprised. Ants having deep sleep and dream. You couldn't imagine, why would a tiny brain like that need to dream? So it doesn't make sense from a neurological or even physical sense. But they have, like we have REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. If you Google it, you will find ants have RAM sleep, rapid antenna movement sleep. They freeze for short times and the antenna moved in. And they have deep sleep also. Why would that happen? This in fact gives more credence to the fact that these are actually states, not of consciousness, of the mind itself, nothing to do with the physical body. Yeah, let's go ahead. Actually, I'm very happy you find all of this interesting. Vedanta says none of it is interesting. It's just labeling your day-to-day experience. Remember, Vedanta is not interested in the waking state, nor in what we see in the waking state. Is not interested in the dream state and not at all interested in our dreams. Is not interested in the deep sleep state. It's just pointing these out as a doorway to the fourth, which is what Vedanta is interested in. I'll come to you. Yes.
So just to reverse the question the other way, the consciousness is all pervading, unchanging, and why did it even bother to create this?
Very good, very good. Now we are going to, it's a question of creation. You see, he's asking why, if this is the fourth and this is the one real thing, which is appearing as these three, why? It's going to come now. In fact, Gaudapada is going to take up this question. It is the old question of creation. Do you see? Why did God or Brahman or Allah or whatever, why did it bother to create the universe? And there are many answers. There are many, many answers. But there's one unique answer in Gaudapada, a very deep and very interesting answer in Gaudapada. It's a question that any human being can ask. You don't have to be religious to ask it. A cosmologist asks this question. How did this universe, how was it created? That's properly a scientific question. When was it created? That's a scientific question. And what's a moral question, emotional question to us, very important question, often asked with annoyance. Why was it created? So that answer is going to come now. Now let me, you had a question, yes? Okay. Now, not only is, you have a question, yes?
Sorry, Vedanta might ask that question, but shouldn't we ask the question, why did I create all of this, not why did God create all of this?
I means the Atman, the actual Atman, the Satchidananda. It still comes to the same thing. If this pure consciousness is what I am, truly, then how did I become all of this? Or why did I become all of these? The little waker and the dreamer and the deep sleeper and so on. Same question. In a philosophical sense, often it is asked, how did the one become the many? If there is at all the one, then how did that one become the many? How did it become the many? When did it become the many? And why did it become the many?
Why did it forget itself?
Why did it forget itself?
Yeah, Alzheimer's.
All right.
Got Alzheimer's.
Yeah, I got so Brahman got Alzheimer's. Yeah, there's that joke, funny and little politically incorrect and cruel also. There's this person who goes to a guy, he has gone to a senior facility and he's very annoyed, and he's asking the person at the he's a preacher. He's a preacher with a flair for the dramatic. And he's talking to a group of seniors who are sitting there listening to him patiently. And he says, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?" And this little old lady sitting in the corner says, "Well, dear, you could ask them at the reception. They know everybody here."
It's like the question when celebrities go somewhere and they say, they want something, they say, "Don't you know who I am?"
Don't you know who I am? Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Do the teachers care that the scientists think there are many universes now, and there's lots of realities, and so on?
Yeah, I mean, even the wildest or the most magnificent understanding of the scientist would still dwindle to pale, like and a pale anemic descriptions compared to the mythologies of the ancient Hindus. So the Hindus would ask, do the scientists care that we think about thousands of universes and millions of creations? And all of that, remember, this is the kind of final conclusion of Hindu thought. We'll see the rather incredible answer that today, Gaudapada, he gives to this question. He asked this question. Right now he's going to ask this question. So if this is the one, and all of these are appearances, why? Okay. Oh, so this is one thing, that one gold appearing in as three kinds of ornament. It is that one consciousness alone appears as the self in its gross or physical dress, in its subtle dress in the dream state, and its causal dress in the deep sleep state. Not only that, in each case, in the waking experience, dream experience, and deep sleep experience, we have the experience of the subject and the object, of the individual and the cosmic, the microcosm and the macrocosm. Microcosm, us, me. Macrocosm, the rest of it. Me and that. That's the fundamental structure of experience. Think about it. All experience is basically subject and object. Isn't it? Think about it. Whatever we experience, even a tiny ant will experience it as subject and object, will not use those words and will not philosophize about it, but knows it's me against everything else. So, the second point, yes?
Sorry.
So, the second point I want to make here, we know this, is that not only does this consciousness appear as the waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper, but also the individual and the cosmic. I, the waker, the waking subject, here, me, Swami Sarvapriyananda, and this waking universe which I face, both of them, according to Advaita, according to Mandukya, are that one consciousness. So it appears as the individual and as the total. The individual, and in both in all three states, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. In the waking state, consciousness associated with one individual body and mind is called the waker. In Sanskrit, Vishwa. Consciousness associated with the entire universe of the waking state is called Virat. So Vishwa Virat, the pair, are actually nothing other than consciousness in association with an individual gross body and the total gross cosmic universe. In the dream state, that very consciousness, in association with one dreamer appears as Taijasa, the Sanskrit word, the dreamer, Taijasa. And with the total world of all minds, association with all minds, it appears as Hiranyagarbha. So this pair, Taijasa, Hiranyagarbha, are the appearance of that one consciousness in the dream state. Individual Taijasa, cosmic mind, Hiranyagarbha. And finally, in the causal state, deep sleep state, what is deep sleep for us is the causal state for the whole universe. In the deep sleep state, consciousness, with all its knowledge lumped together into an indistinguishable mass, appears as pragya, the individual deep sleeper, when each of us was in deep sleep last night. So the term for us would have been pragya, each of us. And this entire physical universe, when it goes into a causal state, then consciousness associated with that causal state is called, we are calling it Ishvara. The word used in the Upanishad here is Antaryami, but all of them, they mean the same thing, God. Okay. What is deep sleep to us, which we go through every day? At the cosmic level, that happens at the end of the universe. So remember, in Hinduism, we speak about many universes, many cycles of creation. It's a cyclical theory. So the universe was created, it came into existence, continued for millions of billions of years, and finally it is destroyed again. It goes back to its unmanifest state. So that unmanifest state is called the causal state at the cosmic level. The causal state at the cosmic level happens only once in billions and billions of years. So where the whole universe goes back into an unmanifested state. And again it's created. It comes back again. Just like our day, we wake up, we go to sleep, we wake up in the morning and the whole universe comes back again to us. Imagine that at the cosmic level. So at the cosmic, deep sleep would be the destruction of the universe, the dissolution of the universe. All right. Now, what Gaudapada said, he gave a few verses 1 to 5. In verse 1, he said, the waker is externalized. When consciousness is externalized through sense organs, that's called the waker. When it retreats into the mind, that's called in sleep, in dreams, that's called the dreamer. And when it is merged in deep sleep, that's called the deep sleeper. All three are actually one consciousness. That was mentioned in the first verse. The second verse said, you can meditate on, locate. For the purpose of meditation, the waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper are located, are given places in this very body. The second verse says, meditate on the waker, did you remember, in the right eye, meditate on the dreamer in the mind, meditate on the deep sleeper in the space within the heart. These are for purposes of contemplation. In the waking state itself, in this body, you can sit and meditate in the sense, you get a good sense of what is the waker, what is the dreamer, what is the deep sleeper. For purpose of contemplation. Why would you want to contemplate? To take this final step, to understand ourselves as separate from these three and appearing as these three. These exercises are helpful. Then the third verse said that the waker has physical experiences, the dreamer has subtle experiences, and the deep sleeper experiences ananda or restfulness. So what is the experience of each stage? That's mentioned in third verse. Then the fourth verse says, what satisfies each state, the self in each state. The self in the waking state is satisfied by physical forms and tastes and smells and touch and all that. The dreamer is satisfied by dream forms and dream tastes, which are subtle. And the deep sleeper is satisfied by the bliss of or restfulness of deep sleep. Anyway, now the fifth verse is important. Trishu dhamasu yad bhojyam bhokta yascha prakirtita veda etadubhayam yastu sabhunjano na lipyate. Remember, it is one consciousness appearing as individual, subject and object in each of the three. Now, in each of the three states, whoever is the subject and whatever is the object. Subject here, waker. Object, gross, physical. Subject here, dreamer. Object, the dream world, the subtle things. Subject here, pragya, the deep sleeper. Object, the restfulness. So, whatever is the subject and the object in each of the three states, the one who knows them, knows them together. Knows them together means one who can, from this perspective, can contemplate them together. And this contemplation you can do right here in the waking state. Then what happens is, as the states cycle through, as you go and experience each of them in turn, you are not affected. This one is not affected by any of this. It's an important point. The waking and the dreaming and the deep sleep will keep coming and going with their joys, pleasures and sufferings and disasters. But we will not suffer. If you see it in this way, you do not suffer. A good example is, the waker does not suffer from the disasters and nightmares of the dream. What happened in the dream which caused you terror, and when you wake up, you realize, first of all, you are free of it. Second, nothing really happened. From the point of you, the real consciousness, none of this really happened, although you experience all of it. So while experiencing all the three states, while experiencing all the objects, gross, subtle and causal, while experiencing all of them, he is not touched, just illumines. Like the light illumines this book. The light illumines this book. The light is not polluted or improved, or nothing happens to the light by this book. It just illumines it. And the light illumines this cloth now. Light is not affected by the cloth. So, like that, you, the consciousness, you enable experiences in waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. Different kinds of experiences. Deep sleep, whenever we talk about experiences, object being experienced, remember it's with a kind of quotes. It's not really a specific experience. So the main point is, you are unaffected. Just like the light which illumines objects is unaffected by the objects it illumines. Similarly, you, the consciousness, are unaffected by the experiences. You experience all of it, but you are not troubled when you take that standpoint. All these come and go, you, the self, stand apart. Aware. When do you stand apart? Right now actually. You stand apart. It's like saying, all the terrible things that happened in the dream, really you were safe and sound on your bed and imagining all of that in your mind. It might seem unconcerned, it might seem callous to say that, oh, so many terrible things are happening, and you say nothing is happening. But when you wake up, wouldn't that be true? Nothing did happen really. But nobody denies that you experienced it. Do you see the difference between being real and experiencing it? Right now, we think we are experiencing it, no doubt. And we think this is the only reality. Just like in a dream, we experience it, no doubt. And we think it's real. But when we wake up, what happens? What happens? It's unreal. But do we deny that we experienced it? No. We don't say, we say it didn't happen. But do we ever say, I didn't dream? I did experience it, but it was a dream. When we say it was a dream, but it was a dream, when we say with a smile, it was not real. That's what we are saying. When we say, I experienced all of it, but the reality is this. That's what I'm trying to say. In this reality, all these three come and go. Hence, you are not affected by it. This one is neither born with the birth of the body, neither does it age with the aging of the body, neither does it get diseased, Alzheimer's, with the disease of the body, neither does it die with the death of the body. This one is not affected by the nightmares, the good dreams and the bad dreams of the dream world. It is not affected by the darkness which it experiences in deep sleep. These three keep cycling, keep appearing and going. You, the consciousness, are unaffected by it, whatever the state. Yes.
Swamiji, when will the waker say that I experienced it, but it is not real?
The moment you take a step back from here to here. When you take a step from here to here, you can say the experiences of the dream world were not real compared to my waking world. When you take a step back from here to here, you will be able to say that the experiences of the waking world were nothing other than me, the consciousness, appearing as a waker and the waker's world. This shift is what Mandukya is trying to do. So we ask, when will that happen? In the next class. When we study the 7th mantra, where it is going to talk. Till now, what have we done? The 3rd mantra speaks about this. The 4th mantra spoke about the dream. The 5th and 6th spoke about the deep sleep. The 7th is going to speak about this. Now we are taking a break, a coffee break, to sort of chew the cud. You know, the cows when they eat and then they sit and keep on munching. So we are chewing the cud about what we did, what happened so far, before we are ready to launch into the final thing, the 7th mantra, which we'll talk about, this one. Okay, now this question is going to be asked. Why did God create the universe? Simplest way, from a religious point of view, if you ask, why did God create the universe? From an Advaitic point of view, why is Brahman appearing as the universe? From an even more precise Mandukya point of view, why is this one consciousness, the so-called 4th, appearing as the 3? You see, do you see it's the same question? It could have very well remained the same. I remember reading Somerset Maugham. When he became interested in Indian philosophy, he went to India. He actually met Ramana Maharshi. He went to Ramana Maharshi's ashram and he had a kind of spiritual experience there in the presence of the Maharshi. But I remember he writes that according to Vedanta, it is Brahman which manifests this universe. The entire universe is projected by Brahman. And then he writes in his wry, humorous way, he writes, I feel Brahman could have let well enough alone. So that's the old question. The question has some aspects. One aspect is how did God or Brahman or the 4th consciousness, how did it create all of this? One. Another question would be when? 2. Another question would be, that is the most important thing which bothers all of us. Why? If we are having fun, we really don't mind. I'm glad God created whoever created, but don't bother me with all this. Now I'm having fun. But most of the time we are not having fun, and then we feel, why was I created in this limited, like sort of purpose designed to get old and sick and troubled, and this whole world seemingly created to torment me. So the whole thing, why was it created at all? Why did God create it? Or if you say, I am the real me is at the source of everything. So the real me, whatever it is, why did it appear in these as the false me? And so on. So why? That's another question. And there are many answers to that. What Gaudapada will do is, he'll take up some of those answers and dismiss them and give his own answer, which is not exactly what Advaita Vedanta, the Vedanta we have been accustomed to read, not exactly what that says, even something deeper than that, quite startling. I'll give you a hint, a teaser of what's going to come. He's going to discuss the different answers, but basically his idea, Gaudapada's idea, and what he claims is the Mandukya Upanishad point of view, the whole question is misplaced. Why? You are asking, why creation? The answer of Gaudapada is, there is no creation. There is no creation at all. It's like, according to Gaudapada, it is something becomes an unmanifest state and becomes manifest again and goes back into the unmanifest state, and this cycles. If you ask, why that even? Why that even? Gaudapada will say that is basically the nature of that ultimate reality. It's basically the nature of that. The difference is like this. If I go out, we have created a park. Why? For our pleasure. We have created this house because we need shelter. So we create things, and you can ask, why did you create it? I put on a shirt. You can ask, when did you put it on? Why did you put this one on? You can add, and I can give you an answer. But you can't ask me, when did you put on your arms and legs? I came with these. Right? They are part of me. It's like a snail withdraws into its shell and comes out again. So you say, why did you create a head and an antenna and all of this? I said, I didn't create it. It's always been there. I withdraw into a shell sometimes and I come out. It's me. It's like that. He will say, this is none other than Brahman. These three states, the waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper, they are none other than the self itself. They appear in these ways. The appearance of the self in these three states is the very nature of the self. It's not a new thing which has been done by the self. Then why do we make this mistake? Are you following? This will be discussed again. But if that is so, if there is no new thing which is created, if there is no creation at all, then why is this question there? It's a question in every culture, every religion, every philosophy. So why do we ask this question? If the question itself is a mistake, why do we make this mistake? And Vedanta says, or Gaudapada says, that the mistake is very natural. Why? Because it goes from unmanifest to manifest and back to the unmanifest again. In Sanskrit, avyakta to vyakta, vyakta to avyakta. That's why we get the feeling something new has come. And we ask the question, why? But it's not something new. It's the same thing. It goes into a resolved state, deep sleep, and then appears as the waking world again. It goes back into the cosmic dissolution and appears as this magnificent, humongous universe. We think something new has been created, and we ask the question, why creation? Nothing new has been created. What always was is still there now. Even science says matter and energy cannot be created. Earlier they used to say conservation of matter and conservation of energy, but now after Einstein we know matter and energy are the same thing basically. So matter and energy cannot be created. They only cycle into different forms. So nothing new in the universe, something out of nothing never happens really. So it is goes from an unmanifest to the manifest. So that also is not unknown to us. But what is speciality of Gaudapada, he says, this unmanifest to manifest. Where is the unmanifest? Here. Deep sleep. Where is the manifest? Here. So unmanifest to manifest and manifest to unmanifest. This cycling, Gaudapada says, he is the only one who said it, this is actually a part of the ultimate reality. A part of the ultimate reality, of Brahman, of Turiya, of God, if you will. So it's nothing new that God has done. It's always been there.
Swamiji, C never exists outside the three states then.
Which one?
C will never exist outside the three states.
Oh.
Either manifest or unmanifest.
Second question. Second part of this. Very good question. You know what was her question? This consciousness does not exist then outside these three. If these are parts of this consciousness, so the consciousness will either always be waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. Either it will be deep sleeper or dreamer or waker. At any time. There is no such thing as C apart from these three. This last statement is important. There is no such thing as pure consciousness apart from these three. Very important question. What did I just say? These three states and their individual and total aspects, they are all parts of the ultimate reality. Now what she is asking is, in that case, is the ultimate reality anything apart from these? She is asking that. Okay, very important. On this hinges the entire Advaita Vedanta. We have come to a very crucial point here. Take the example of the gold and the ornaments. What you are asking is, bangle, necklace, ring. Is there anything called gold? It's always bangle, necklace, ring, right? The real answer is there is only one thing, which is gold. The only reality is gold. But you deal with it as bangle, necklace, ring. Bangle, necklace, ring have no reality apart from the gold. So what Vedanta is saying, not that these three are there. Why do we ask this question? Because we seem to think these are real things, and this seems to be vague and abstract. What Vedanta says, this is the reality. This should be vague and abstract to you. This one reality itself dresses up in three forms, and these dresses are not real. These are three appearances of one unchanging reality. The appearances come and go as a matter of the very nature of that reality. One crucial point here. These three are false, this is real. As a result of, I'll come to you. This is very, 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 very important. You see, when I said these three are parts of the ultimate reality, immediately a question should have come. Didn't you say the ultimate reality is non-dual, partless, secondless? Right? We always say that in Advaita Vedanta. Now are you saying these are parts? So does the reality have four parts? There's one reality and three other minor parts. One, each of it which it brings out like a juggler when once in a while throws up in front of you. The answer is no. The reality is one and undivided. These three are not really parts. You just said they are parts. They are appearances. They do not enjoy the same level of reality as this. The bangle, follow this, the bangle and the necklace and the ring are not parts of gold. You see? Are the bangle and the necklace and the ring parts of gold? Are they features of gold? They are names and forms and functions, which can be, yeah,
exist outside those three.
Absolutely. It can exist in other forms also.
Or formlessly.
Formlessly. And the answer is, this always exists outside these three and formlessly in itself. It manifests as these three. Why are we at all talking about these three? Because these three are the gateway to that. We have no other gateway. In our present state as the waker, these are the only things which Upanishad can point to. They say, Pratipatti Dwara Bhuta. Pratipatti means understanding or enlightenment. Dwara means door. The door to enlightenment are these three. If it is entirely, in fact, this is from Shankara's commentary, if this is entirely apart from these three, then there would be no way to those three, to that ultimate reality. We would only be trapped in this. If it is exactly the same as these three, there's nothing else, then it's not worthwhile. We already know these three, and there'll be no end to our suffering. We'll just go on like this. Alzheimer's here, real Alzheimer's. Nightmare, there's a nightmare. Deep sleep is deep sleep. That's it, there's nothing more. Then what have you said in Vedanta? What is the new thing that Vedanta reveals? What the new thing that Vedanta reveals is there is an ultimate reality behind these three. There's the ground of these three, and that is what you are. Tat Tvamasi. It says, I am Atma Brahma, it said that. Your very self, this self itself is Brahman, which appears as these three. What we take to be reality is actually appearance, and the reality has to be grasped as me, the reality. That rescues us from this suffering. And yet, this will go on, because this is the very nature of that reality to appear in these forms. There is nothing new here. It will just keep on cycling between appearance and disappearance, manifest and unmanifest. Let me repeat this way. This is an extremely crucial point. There will be occasion to repeat it later on also, before we go into the verses themselves. The fourth, pure consciousness alone is real. Its nature includes the capacity to appear as waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, with the waker's world, dreamer's world, and deep sleep world. But, this is number one. Number two is, Waker and its world, dreamer and its world, deep sleep and its world are not real in the sense that pure consciousness is. They are appearances. They are not really parts. The ultimate reality is not composed of parts. Shankaracharya puts it this way: 4 aspects of the self, 1 real, 3 are in Maya. 3 are illusory. This Upanishad presents your reality as the 4th. So Shankaracharya adds there, Maya Sankhya Turiyam. Counting in illusion, we come to the 4th. Counting in illusion means the first 3 steps are false steps. They are not really there. It's not that gold is a 4th thing apart from 3 other things called bangle, necklace and ring. Gold is the only thing which appears in these 3 forms. Did you actually create a necklace? Our first answer would be, yeah, we created a necklace. Not really. The goldsmith just takes the gold and gives it a shape. The goldsmith did not create the gold. Changes the shape. But the goldsmith did not create the gold, which constitutes the necklace or the bangle or the ring. Similarly, there is no creation here. It is one thing appearing in these ways. This is real, and the important point is this is real and this is false. If it is false, it should not be counted. One teacher said, you and your shadow, example. So you don't say, I have come and I brought my shadow along. No, you can say, I have brought my husband or children or friends along. Okay, you can count them. You can't say, we have come with our shadows. So there's your shadow right next to you. Each of you has a shadow. But you don't count it. Why? Though it's experienced, it's not a second thing apart from you. And yet it's part of you in one sense. Within quotes, it's part of you. It's something that appears because of you according to the light. Sometimes it manifests, sometimes it disappears. This is like the shadow of Brahman. This is what Gaudapada is trying to say. And I think this is it's a worthwhile answer to take. First of all, there's no real thing called creation, number 1. At that point, we are tempted to say, Advaitins, non-dualists, yeah, we know that. We have always said creation is Maya. Gaudapada gives a nuanced answer. He says, I'm not even saying it's Maya. I'm saying it's the ultimate reality itself. It appears in these ways. That's all I'm saying. He's going to say that. I'll come to you. Yeah.
I don't understand why there are only 3 outside of the 4th. It just seems like there could be a million.
True. Suppose you say, you want to continue, or should I?
No, that's
if I picked up on what you wanted to say, it could be a question is raised. What about coma? What about being in a trance? What about being in a drug-induced kind of alternative reality? What about samadhi? So what about when Sri Ramakrishna is seeing the Divine Mother? Different kinds of states. Some are pathological, some may be spiritual, some may be mystical. What about those states? Aren't they more than that? 5, 6, 7, 8 other kinds of states? Right? Is this the question? This has actually been considered by Shankaracharya in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya. He says, it doesn't make a difference. Let me remind you again, why are we talking about these states?
We're ignorant.
Because we are ignorant and we are trying to break out of this ignorant into the 4th.
But this is also the most common human experience.
Right, I'm coming to that. So we are talking about it not because we are interested in the states. We are not even cataloging various kinds of states we may have. We are not doing that. There's something called the DSM-4 or DSM-5, the doctors. Yeah, so that catalogs. We are not even cataloging. We are not into that. He points out there in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya that there may be other states. So he says somebody is knocked unconscious. He says when somebody hits you with a club, which might not be very common nowadays, but I guess it used to happen in ancient India. You're knocked out with a club. Another state, it's not quite deep sleep. And he points out the difference. Deep sleep, you go into it naturally. You don't get knocked out by a club on the head naturally. Somebody does it to you. And deep sleep is a restful state. And being knocked out by a club is not a restful state. And so on. But he makes a crucial point that those are incidental or accidental. They come and go. Some come out of pathology. Some come out of drug-induced states. Some come out of maybe cultivating spirituality, deep meditation and devotion to such a point that you actually experience God in particular forms. Those are high mystical states. But none of them are available to the common run of humanity. Nor need they be. These three are commonly available to us. In fact, even in these three, if you look closely, aren't there variations? Isn't there daydreaming? Aren't there in dreaming, isn't there lucid dreaming? Right? In old age, doesn't deep sleep disappear gradually? Right? So all of these, there are minor shades and variations in each of them. Doesn't matter. The whole point of this is, let's take our common experiences, look into it, and discover the underlying reality. If you're asking, why only bangle, necklace, and ring? Can't gold appear in 100 different forms? Why 100? 1,000 different forms. But take the three forms, I've given 3 examples, and let's get to the gold itself. It may appear in 100 different forms, doesn't detract from the point that it is gold. Whatever state it appears in. You're knocked out by a club, or you get a mystical experience of Kali. You're knocked out by God, or you're knocked out by a club. In both cases, it is you, the consciousness, which is experiencing it. If this consciousness were not there, just imagine, suppose this was not there. Could you experience being knocked out by a club? No. Could you experience God? Could Kali appear to you? This is not there. To what would the Divine Mother appear? To what? To whom? Right? What religion, what atheism, what world, what dreams, what deep sleep, what would happen if this is not there? Nothing would happen. There would be nothing at all. So it is this one which shines upon all of them. These 3 states, as well as many as you would like to add to you. Yeah, I'll come to you.
Actually, my question was exactly what his question was. And then for one step beyond that, I would say, if we limited ourselves to just these 3 states, then we are putting structure. And once we put structure, then we are saying there are only 3 gateways to consciousness, there are only 3 ways for consciousness to manifest itself. That structure is actually limiting what we're defining consciousness as being all-pervading. Right? And so I guess what you're saying is these are 3 convenient ways for us to get
Absolutely.
there. But there could be super intelligent states that we have no idea about that.
Absolutely. And there are.
Even fathom.
There are in fact.
So there could be many other doorways to get there.
There are in fact.
And that doesn't change anything.
That doesn't change anything. That's the beauty of Advaita Vedanta. What for example, Tantra or Patanjali Yoga would say, look, yeah, you Vedantins, Advaita non-dualists are very good, you have got these 3 states, but these are not helpful. After all, everybody wakes, everybody dreams, everybody sleeps. Who's enlightened? Nobody's enlightened. So I'm going to show you a different state, which is Samadhi. Okay, what's that? You don't have it yet. Look, here is the main thing. What's the problem about Samadhi? We don't have it. Do we daily go into Samadhi? No. We are daily, we wake, we dream, and we sleep. But we don't go into Samadhi daily. So the yogi will tell us, because you don't practice, here are the practices, the 8-limbed yoga. You practice this sincerely for a very long period of time, your mind will be tuned, focused, disciplined into intense concentration, and you will experience things which you have not experienced so far. And so you will, as Vivekananda said, if God exists, I must see God. If I have an immortal soul, I must know it. So Samadhi is the doorway. That's what the yogi is claiming, Patanjali Yogi. And Vedanta says, if that's all, my dear sir, the doorways, more convenient doorways are available right here. I'm going to show you something that everybody shares. How long is this Samadhi of yours going to take to achieve? Try it 50 years and maybe, just maybe, at the end of it, invest a lot of time and effort into it, you will get a doorway to the superconscious. And say, yes, but the superconscious is right here, right now. And here are the doorways always open to us. But then the yogi would say, if there are doorways, then why isn't anybody enlightened? Then the Vedantin says, the problem is not the doorway. The problem is not a particular type of experience. The problem is we have not investigated it. The problem is ignorance. Ignorance is removed only by knowledge. And knowledge comes only by investigation. And this is what we are doing. Investigation. Investigation into the self. Okay, so far? You had a question? I'll come to you.
I was just thinking, like, conversely, instead of many, can you just simplify it down to two, which would be just the manifest and the unmanifest?
Very good question. It's going to come a little later. After the 7th mantra, there will be other karikas which Gaudapada will point out. In fact, he's going to say, actually there are not 3 states. He's going to simplify it further. There are only 2 states, the manifest and the unmanifest. The unmanifest is deep sleep and the manifest is waking and dreaming. Waking is one kind of manifest and the dreaming is another kind of manifest. And he'll even say, there are only 2 states. One is sleep and the other one is dreaming. So what about waking? That's a dream too. You have 2 kinds of dreams. One is what you call waking, other one is what you call dream. Both are dreams. Actually, if you look at it from the point of pure consciousness, if this is real and these are not, in that case, you're comparing 2 levels, 2 different kinds of unreality from this point of view. That's why Nisargadatta would say, remain as this self, with a capital S. Be unconcerned with the mind. The mind wakes, dreams and sleeps. Be unconcerned with it. It'll do its thing. Be unconcerned with it. It's not happening really. So he would say there are only 2 states. Sleep and dream. And dream is of 2 kinds, waking and dreaming. He even makes it even more plain. He says there are only 2 states. Ignorance and error. Deep sleep is ignorance. Deep sleep is ignorance. And waking and dreaming are error. Waking and dreaming are error. As long as we are not enlightened. When we are enlightened, we know that we are the pure consciousness. Yes.
Maharaj, if I take these 3 words, independent, false, and real, and put it in the context of that often contested question of, is the world real? Dvaitas say that it is, the Advaitins say it is false, and Thakur said that the world is real as Brahman. Now, given your example of the person and the shadow, I'm going to say that the shadow is best categorized as something that's not independent. I wouldn't say it's false. Now, if I were to pull this line of thought, then what is the Advaitin saying? Is he saying that the world is not an independent reality, or are they saying it's false?
It's not independent and it's false. How? See, the shadow and this physical body, they belong to this waking reality. Physical body belongs to the waking reality and the shadow also belongs to the waking reality. But the shadow is dependent on the physical body. Up to that extent, the thing is right. But the dream world is not only dependent on your waking world because it arises from the waker's mind when the waker goes into sleep. But it's also false because none of the events in the dream world actually happened. When you wake up, you don't say that, oh, I won the lottery in the dream, I'm rushing to the bank to see that, I hope they have updated my accounts and I've got $1 million. No, because that event did not happen. That's a dream. So, the dream world is false and also dependent on the waking world. Advaita Vedanta is saying all of these are, first of all, they are not independent. They wouldn't exist without this. One. Second, they are false because they don't exist on the same plane. The body and the shadow exists on the waking plane. They do not exist on the same plane as pure consciousness. This is the absolute truth. These are on a lower level of truth. Imagine what would happen if these existed on the same plane. If they existed on the same plane, every misery, every sin, every disaster, every horrible thing that happened in the waking world would be absolutely true about pure consciousness also. Then what's the point of pure consciousness? How can all your miseries be solved by knowing yourself with pure consciousness?
So in that context, how do we interpret Thakur's statement that the world is real as Brahman?
World is real as Brahman means none of this has any reality apart from Brahman, And they are not equally real as Brahman. It is Brahman alone which is appearing as the Word.
He's referring to the appearances of something that is real.
That is real, yeah. In fact, when you asked about dualism and non-dualism, one great scholar of dualism who visited our university in Belur Math, the three main brands of Vedanta: non-dualism, which is this, which we are doing, and then qualified monism, Vishishtadvaita of Ramanuja, then dualism, Dvaita of Madhva. And what are their differences? It will take several lectures, but basically non-dualism says Brahman alone is real, the world is an appearance. Brahman alone is real, the world is an appearance. And who are you? You are Brahman. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya, Jiva, Brahmaiva Napara. That's what non-dualism says. What does Vishishtadvaita, qualified monism, say? Not this. They don't agree with this. They say there are not several levels of reality. There's only one reality. And in this reality, God is the whole of which we are parts. Whole and part. God is the totality. And we are parts. We means physical bodies and sentient beings are parts of God. And dualism, what does it say? It says that we are not parts of God. There's only one reality. The world is very much real and there's only one reality. And we are not parts of God. We are separate from God. God is like the ruler and we are dependent subjects. It's very close to, in some ways, to the Semitic religions, the dualistic Vedanta. In fact, I've seen Christian theologians feeling more at home with Ramanuja's philosophy. They feel very uncomfortable with Shankara's non-dualism. Now, yes?
They call it anathema.
Anathema, yeah, it's terrible. You are God, it's terrible. Yeah. Professor John Thatamanil, who came here on Sunday, he said, somebody asked him, what is Christian non-duality? He speaks about a Christian non-duality. He said, it's always been there. There have been mystics like Meister Eckhart and others, but they tended to get burnt at the stake. So even now it's not accepted fully, but yeah, now the problem is not there so much. Now, but whereas here it was mainstream, in Vedanta it was mainstream. But my point is, there was a dualist philosopher who came to our university in Belur, and he told me something interesting. He said, the same Upanishad, if you ask it 3 questions, you will get these 3 philosophies. If you ask it the question, what is real and what is false, the answer will be the non-dualist system of Shankara. Brahman alone is real and this is false. If you ask it the question, what is the complete, whole, total picture and what is partial, the answer will be Ramanuja's qualified monism. Totality is God and partial, the individuals, we are individuals, parts, part and whole. And if you ask it the question, what is independent and what is dependent, then you will get Madhva's dualism. You say God is the sole independent reality of this universe and everything else depends on God's will or God's power or God. So 3 questions, you generate 3 different philosophies, which then spend the next few thousand years fighting with each other. All right, now,
This one
yeah.
academic question.
Yeah.
Since you said we can now really go down to 2 states.
Yeah.
And the
We have not said it yet. We'll come to it later, yes.
But let's say the unmanifest state is ignorance.
Yes.
So
And deep sleep.
in deep sleep. So that's the pragya state
Hmm.
that we're talking about. So Ishvara, by that example, is also ignorance.
But pragya is ignorance.
Right.
And Ishvara state is not ignorance. You see, these are parallels. For example, I, the waker, individual being, am tiny. And the waking world, would you say it's tiny? No, it's vast. Literally, consciousness associated with the waking world is called Virat, which in Indian languages means the vast. Similarly, Ishvara, I am, pragya has 2 meanings. One meaning is essentially ignorant, prayena agyaha. And the other meaning is prakrishtena agyaha, omniscient. The word itself can be derived in 2 ways. Ishvara has full knowledge. Why full knowledge? Because the entire physical universe, subtle universe, exists with Ishvara in an unmanifest state. All the seeds are with Ishvara. So Ishvara knows everything about everybody. Ishvara is not ignorant. We say that when you use the word ignorance, we are associated with ignorance, so Ishvara should be even more ignorant. If I am a fool, God should be the biggest fool. No, it doesn't work that way. Sri Ramakrishna put it very beautifully. He said, the serpent has, with one bite, it can make its prey, a frog or a mouse, faint or die. That's only a tiny bit of the poison. But it's got the entire poison in its mouth, in the glands. It doesn't do anything to the serpent. It's in fact the serpent's power. It's not a weakness or a danger to the serpent. It's the serpent's power. Similarly, Maya is the power of Ishvara, which is the cause of the gross universe and the subtle universe. So, Ishvara, God, is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, omni everything. Omni means everything basically. So, just the opposite of us. Another modern example a Swami gave was, we all have one vote, and so we are subjects. But when we give all our votes, the guy who gets all the votes is the president, or the prime minister is the ruler. So you get all the votes, you become the ruler. You get one vote, you become the ruled. You say, if one vote makes me the ruled, you get more votes, you'd be even more ruled. No, you become the ruler. That's a nice way of putting it. All right, let's go ahead now. Now, we can go faster. I've set the stage. By now, you might have forgotten. What was the question? The greatest of all questions. Why did God create the universe? Why did the one become the many? Or in Mandukya, why is one consciousness appearing as waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper? Why is the all-pervading, unchanging consciousness appearing as this non-pervading, changing guy? Yeah. Here are the answers. Some of the answers. He will take it up again in detail in the 3rd and 4th chapters. But now, just provisionally, he gives us some answers. Karika 6. Prabhava sarva bhavanam, Prabhava sarva bhavanam, Satamiti vinishchaya, Satamiti vinishchaya, Sarvam janayati prana, Sarvam janayati prana, Chetongshun purushah prithak, Chetongshun purushah prithak. It is a well-established fact that origination belongs to all entities that have existence. Prana creates all objects. Purusha creates separately the rays of consciousness that are living creatures. This requires just a little bit of explanation. Look at that, it's really heavy. I hope it lets off. Yeah. Yeah. So it says, all things that exist, it is well known, or at least it's a common understanding among philosophers, scientists, among everybody, that these things have originated. All these things have come from some cause. From something they have originated. So what have they originated from? He says, all insentient things, matter, time, space, energy, all of that, he uses the word prana. Don't be confused by this. He uses two words, prana and purusha. Prana simply means the Maya principle. You see, the universe in its causal state. So consciousness associated with the universe in its causal state. That's the word used here, prana. It just means Brahman. It means Ishvara, God. Now, Ishvara or God has two aspects. One is the consciousness, and the other aspect is Maya. What is Maya? This is the causal state of the universe. This is the one which manifests into subtle and gross, and again goes back into a causal state. Consciousness remaining unchanged. This plus this is called Ishvara. Now, when you emphasize the Maya aspect, the word prana is used. It's like this. The example they give is the spider. The spider builds a web, spins a web out of its own body. Now, the spider is the cause of the web. They ask a question. A cause can have, there are two kinds of cause can be there. A material cause and an intelligent cause. So, for example, when a carpenter comes and takes a log of wood and makes that lectern. So, the lectern, the cause of that lectern is twofold: the wood itself, which has been fashioned into that lectern, and the carpenter. So, the carpenter will be called intelligent cause, and the wood is called the material cause. The material cause itself is transformed into the effect, that is product, that is the lectern. Similarly, in the case of Ishvara, there is no separate material cause and separate intelligence cause. Ishvara alone is the material cause, Ishvara alone is the intelligent cause of the universe. Example, spider. The spider, the body of the spider is the material cause of the web. Are you with me? And the sentient creature called the spider, the intelligence within that little body, that is the intelligent cause of the web. So the spider in itself is called the one intelligent and material cause of the web. Similarly, God or Ishvara is called the one intelligent and material cause of the universe. If you emphasize the Maya aspect of it, the material aspect of it, then you call it prana. You're calling the whole thing prana, if you emphasize the Maya aspect of it. What is actually transformed into the universe? What is actually transformed into the web? The body of the spider, a part of the body of the spider. What is actually transformed into the universe? Maya. When the universe is in dissolution, that's why it's called causal. Maya is the material cause of the universe. From it comes all the minds and the physical things of the universe. So when you emphasize the material aspect of it, like you emphasize the body of the spider, the material of the web, you emphasize Maya aspect of it, what constitutes this universe. That's why in India, you will find, there's a common saying among ordinary people, they will very casually say, Sab Maya hai, everything is Maya. Basically what the philosophy is this Maya alone has been transformed into the subtle universe and the gross universe. All the seeds are there. So it's like, I'll come to you, let me finish this. If you emphasize the matter and energy and time and space, then they all came out of Maya. They were in the causal state there, now they have been manifested. And that is called prana. So from prana comes all the insentient universe. What about us? What about us? He says, we are sentient beings. So this sentience comes from the consciousness aspect of Ishvara. That gets reflected in the minds as reflected consciousness. This consciousness gets reflected in the minds. Where did the minds come from? The minds came from Maya. So consciousness gets reflected in the minds and then starts acting as wakers and dreamers. Us. So the consciousness that we feel right here now is not the original consciousness. It's a reflection of this original consciousness in minds, which are generated from Maya. So when you talk about the consciousness aspect, the term used is Purusha. When you talk about the Maya aspect, the term used is Prana. But here in this case, in this verse, both Prana and Purusha refer to Ishvara. This one, the cause of the entire universe. Just one point here. This is not entirely something that Gaudapada suddenly struck him and then he starts answering these questions and taking up these questions. Actually, this is generated from the 6th mantra. The 6th mantra you will see in the Upanishad, it says that the causal state, Ishvara in the causal state, Prabhava apyayo hi bhutanam, it is the source and the dissolution of all beings. It says in the 6th mantra, it is the great Lord, the cosmic causal state, the deep sleep state, the cosmic level, is the great Lord. It is God. It is the source of all beings. You see what is the language used? It is the source of all beings, it says. Esha Sarveshwara, it is the great Lord. Which one? This one. It's the great Lord. Esha Sarvagya, it is all-knowing. Esha Antaryami, it is Ishvara. Yoni Sarvas, Yoni means the source of everything. Prabhava apyayo hi bhutanam, the origination and the reabsorption of all beings is this causal state. So this is what Gaudapada, this is what triggered Gaudapada into writing these verses. You can ask, why is it the cause of all beings? Why is this happening? So Gaudapada says, from the consciousness aspect comes us, the sentient beings, and from the Maya aspect comes all our bodies and minds and these universes. So that's the meaning here. Let me just finish the verses. We have 10 minutes. We have already done this actually, so it'll be useful if I finish. I'll take questions if we have time after that. I'll take questions. But these are now this question will arise. Why at all? Why is this game going on? So he gives this answers. First he will give the answers given by others, and then he will give his own answer. 7th verse. Vibhutim prasavam tvanye, vibhutim prasavam tvanye, manyante srishti chintakaha, manyante srishti chintakaha, swapnamaya sarupeti, swapnamaya swarupeti, srishtiranye vikalpita, srishtiranye vikalpita. Others, steeped in cognition about creation, consider origination as an exuberance of God, while by others it is imagined that creation is comparable to dream or magic. Basically what it is saying is, different theories. One is Vibhuti. Vibhuti literally in Sanskrit or in Hindi means glory, power. This is the most common idea in different religions, theistic religions of the world. God is the almighty creator of the worlds. So these worlds are the glory, the manifestation of the power of God. That's one theory. Then another theory, Swapna, it's the dream of God. So this is another theory that some thinkers in India had. The beautiful depiction of Vishnu, who is basically a couch potato. He lies on the cosmic serpent, Sheshnaga, 1,000-hooded serpent, on the cosmic waters of dissolution here, causal state. This causal state, this dry, abstract philosophical concept is given such beautiful imagery in Hindu iconography. You will see a vast ocean, water without end. And then you see this tremendous serpent, Sheshanaga, on which Vishnu is dozing. His eyes are half closed. And he dreams the universe. So the world is a dream of God. Another theory. And third is Maya Sarupiti, magic. It's like a magic show. Like a magician puts forth a magic show, so the world is like a magic show. Another theory. None of these Gaudapada agrees with. Number 8. Ichcha matram prabho srishti, ichcha matram prabho srishti, iti srishto vinishchita, iti srishto vinishchita, kalat prasutim bhutanam, kalat prasutim bhutanam, manyante kala chintaka, manyante kala chintaka. There are other experts on creation. These are all different theories of creation. The other experts on creation, some say, Ichcha matram prabho srishti. It is the will of God. Just by the will of God, God creates this universe. It is God's will. And why did God will it? We cannot say it's God. It's often in the Gospel of Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna says, it is the will of God. What can we understand? So this is a theory. That's the will of God. And there may be many reasons for the will of God out of loving kindness. What's the kindness in creating this world? They will say because we have past karmas. We have to experience the results of karmas and we have to work our way to enlightenment. For that we need a universe, and God out of His compassion has given this universe. One theory, take your pick. It's a supermarket of theories. You can pick whatever you like. So Ichcha matram, it's just the will of God which leads to the universe, creation of the universe. Another theory is Kala, from time. So there was this whole group of people, even now they are in India. They give all importance to time. Origination, existence and destruction all depend on the flow of time. So time itself is as the source of everything. There are people who are very worried about the auspicious time for this or auspicious time for that, to start this work or to do something. It's Ramakrishna. Most religious people in India were very particular about holy, auspicious times and all of that. And so there are people who give all importance to time. Because of the flow of time, universes come into existence, universes exist, and universes again dissolve in time. That's another theory, none of which Gaudapada agrees with. Now he's going to come to one or two more and then give his own theory and stop. We already know what he's going to say. Bhogartham srishtirityanye, bhogartham srishtirityanye, kridartham iti chapare, kridartham iti chapare, devasyeisha swabhavoyam, devasyeisha swabhavoyam, aptakamasya ka spriha, aptakamasya ka spriha. Some others, so whenever in these philosophical texts you say some others say, you immediately know it's not the author's point of view. He's saying there are others who say that. Some others say that creation is for the enjoyment of God, bhogartham, while others say it is for his sport, krida, it's play, lila, the divine play of God. But it is the very nature of the effulgent being. Deva literally means the shining one. It's a very beautiful name. Normally that's the name given to any god, any form of god in India. But literally here he is using this word, a very common word in India. But that's the best word for pure consciousness. Because what it does, it shines. He gives his own theory here, his own answer. It's the very nature of the shining one. It's nothing separate from him that he created or he originated, for which you have to give a reason. It's just like that, just like your own shadow. It appears, exists and disappears in him again and again. It's the very nature of this shining one to shine forth in that way. It is nothing, first of all, it is nothing separate from pure consciousness. And it is not real also. If it was real, then the pure consciousness would be trapped in a real creation. It's not real. It's of a lower order of reality. So hence it is not a second thing. You cannot say, oh, it's a part of God, so, or it's a part of the pure consciousness. So there is pure consciousness plus this whole tangle which keeps coming and going. So there are two things. No, there are not two things. There's only this one, and this one cannot be counted because it is Maya, it's an appearance. Now what are the other theories they took up? Bhogartham. So all these have their basis in the Upanishads, in the Vedas. In one place in the Vedas you find God gets lonely and wants to enjoy, wants to experience himself or herself or itself, and creates this universe, projects this universe. It's like creating a mirror to see one's own face. That's a very poetic way of looking at it. That God created this universe to see himself or herself. Or another variation on this theme is, there's no real reason for creation. God is just doing it to play, to have fun. It's fun for God, but it's death for us. Somebody said to Sri Ramakrishna said it is the play of God. And a devotee said in the Gospel of Ramakrishna, it could maybe the play of God, but it's death for us. What kind of God is that? And Sri Ramakrishna's answer, do you know? He said, but who are you? You see? If you take a stand here, it is death for us. It's disastrous for us. You take a stand here, you could very well say play. Yeah, it's a play. It's entertainment. In fact, do you remember the story that I had told you? Alan Watts, God, it's a very nice, like a children's story, but a very beautiful story. He said God was all alone and he grew lonely. So he wanted to play. But who could he play with? Because God was all alone. There's only God. But God, being God, was very clever. So he hit upon a plan. He pretended to be not God. How did he do that? He pretended to be you and me and him and her. Not God. And now God could play hide and seek. With whom? With you and me and him and her. But then what happened? Because God is very clever, I'm quoting his story. He tells it like a children's story. Because God is very clever, he's awfully good at what he does. So when he pretended to be not God, he forgot that he was God. And from that time onwards, he has been searching for himself. That's you and me and him and her. We are all searching for God. God searching for God, and that explains the universe. But that's this theory, that it's play, which again Gaudapada rejects. He's a dry old philosopher, no sense of humor. I mean, I'd like this. It's a cute theory, Gaudapada says, no. He cuts down all these theories with one hammer blow. What's the hammer blow? Apta kamasya ka spriha. If this is real, if this is all that there is, infinite consciousness, it is completely fulfilled, it is infinite. What could it want? Why would it want to play? Why would it want to experience anything? Why would it want to display power? To whom? One old Swamis put it this way: when the king sits on his throne with a huge canopy and surrounded by courtiers and soldiers, he's displaying power. To whom? Not to himself, to everybody else. So whom would God display? Whom would this consciousness display power to? So how could it be the power of God? How could it be a display of power? Why would this consciousness dream? It's a dream of God. Why would it dream? The dream is just a metaphor. How could it dream? It doesn't have a mind. It's mindless. Minds come here only. So how could it dream even? Neither dream nor a magic show. Why is this consciousness behaving like a street juggler, showing a magic show? Why? Why would it show a magic show? Why would it show power? Why would it dream? Why would it want to experience anything? Why would it get lonely? Why would it want to play if it is infinite? All these are our superimpositions, and we are struggling to answer a question which Gaudapada says you need not answer at all. He does not solve the question, he dissolves it. He says they are none other than this ultimate reality itself. It's not doing anything new by shining forth in these ways. It's its very nature. If I put on a shirt, you might say, why did you do that? When did you do that? How did that come? But you never say, when did you put on your hands and legs? They are part of me. They are my very nature. Similarly, all of these is basically the shining forth of Devasya Esha Swabhavayam. It's the very nature of the shining one. It's a slightly inscrutable answer, but an unassailable one. And this is not the normal answer which Vedanta gives. Vedanta normally gives the answer of Maya. God shining forth through Maya. Through Maya, God has created. And there are many ways which you deal. Why would God do that and all of that? But this is not what he says. He says it's the very nature of God, and the question about creation need not be answered. It's not a real question. If you take this standpoint, you will immediately realize it's not a real question. One interesting thing is, enlightened people need not be non-dualists. Enlightened people of all religions, of all ages, they don't have this question. Have you noticed? Whether Ramakrishna or Ramana Maharshi or anybody, they don't have this question. They enjoy God's creation. They are lost in the bliss of their realization. It doesn't bother them, this world. Depending on their background, devotion or knowledge or something, they'll have some angle on it. But it's not a serious question for them anymore. It's a question only for this chap. Us, right now. Okay, that's it. Now we are ready for illumination, the 7th mantra. Remember, what Gaudapada says, till now, whatever we have done, till this point in our classes, not one new thing has been said. In all these terms and terminologies and Sanskrit and all of that, we have just pointed out certain things each of us always has, just labels, yes.
You know in Jnana Yoga where Swamiji talks about the question being outside of time and space and for that reason being nonsensical, how does that fit in
Right.
the being of the nature?
Correct. What she's talking about is the Maya concept. The question is this: why did God create? If we dispense with all the dualistic answers, for play or for out of love for us, if you any of those answers, you can push it back till it becomes incomprehensible. You say we have got, suppose a standard answer is We all have past karmas. We have had many lives in the past, and we'll keep having karmas till we get enlightenment and get freedom. But then you can always ask the question, when did the first karma start, and why did God start that, even that? So none of these will give you real answers. What Advaita finally does is, there is no real creation. These are all projections of Brahman due to Maya. So these creations are not as real as Brahman. They are just appearances, like dreams. These universes and these bodies and these lives. At this point, so the answer is, it's all Maya. At this point also, I'm sure the question in your mind will be, as it was in my mind, why Maya? Why even Maya? Why not just pure consciousness, Brahman? So why even Maya? Here, Swami Vivekananda says, the question is wrong. Why did the one become the many? He says, why Maya at all? He says the question is wrong. I'm working up to what you said. And he leaves it at that in the Jnana Yoga. He does not go into details and explain why the question is wrong. But I, like a 5-year-old kid, they don't stop asking why. So I can ask, why is the question wrong? Somebody say, you can't ask this question. I'll say, why can't I ask this question? Give me a reason why I cannot ask. And it took me quite a long time to come to the understanding what you just pointed out. Why is the question wrong? You know why? Maya is space-time causation. Maya is space-time causation. Desha Kala Nimitta, space-time causation. By the way, it's remarkable how Kant and Shankara came to very similar conclusions 1,000 years apart. Space-time causation. Asking why Maya is a wrong question. Why? Why is it a wrong question? The answer is, what are you asking for when you ask a question? When you ask why? You're asking for a cause. Why is it raining? Why is it snowing there? Say, because of the nor'wester. Don't look so surprised. It is snowing. You didn't expect anything else, did you? Why is it snowing? Because of the nor'wester. You ask, why the nor'wester? Because of the evaporation of water and collects in clouds and all of that. Why is that so? Because of the sun. So you are asking why, and what will satisfy you? A reason, a cause. When you ask why, you're asking for a cause. You look at something and ask for a cause of this. And if I can give you a cause, you are satisfied. Okay? So, why means you are asking me for a cause. Maya is causation itself, time, space, causation. Causation starts with Maya. If you're asking why causation, you're asking for a cause before there was any causation. It doesn't make any sense. It's like time. Time starts with the universe itself. If you ask what happened before, what was there before time started. If you ask this question is wrong, because the very words before and after are time words. Before time, the question itself doesn't make sense.
So Anadi is also a time word?
It's a time word, beginningless. It says, so there is no before that. If you ask space, what's outside space? The question is wrong. The question is wrong because outside and inside are space words. You can't ask what is outside space. Like a balloon, there's inside the balloon and outside the balloon. You can't ask what is outside space. It's not like that. Similarly, since you cannot ask what is outside space, since you cannot ask what is before time, you cannot ask what is why causation. Why Maya? Because Maya is causation. You can't ask what was there before Maya, outside Maya, why Maya. So why, before, and where, when, and why. Where means space, when means time, and why means causation. These three you cannot ask about Maya. That's why the question is wrong. Now, this is the standard answer of Advaita Vedanta. In Jnana Yoga, this is Swami Vivekananda, and it convinced me. This is the usual position I take. This is the answer which convinced me, but personally. And it took me quite a long time to understand. But Gaudapada is not saying that. He's not saying that. He's taking a different track, and it's unique to him. He says, Devasyesha Swabhavayam. There is no creation at all. There is only one Brahman alone which shines forth. And in one sense, this is the point of view of an enlightened person. There is no separate thing to explain. It is literally all Brahman. The second thing requires an explanation. There is no second thing from his point of view. From his point of view, all things are in me. All things are in me, and I am in all things. What are you asking for an explanation of? It might be difficult to get our minds, wrap our minds, but we begin to see what he's pushing for. The Maya explanation is the standard Advaitic explanation, this one, why you cannot ask about Maya. So that's a standard Advaitic explanation. It makes some kind of logical sense or illogical sense. But this is an even more sophisticated approach. This is called Ajati. Ajati means non-origination. Here, the Shunyavada Buddhist, the Buddhist of the void, the Tibetan Buddhist philosophy, and Advaita and Gaudapada, they are same. In fact, Ajati is a word borrowed from Mahayana Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy. So he will talk about it later. In the second chapter, he will say startling things like, there is no beginning of the universe, there is no end of the universe. There is no creation, no cessation. There is no bondage and no liberation. There is nobody who is trying for liberation. Nobody who gets free, nobody in bondage. And that's it. That's the final statement. Oh, then there is pure consciousness and I am all of that. He just said nothing like that. Just this thing, what you think, is not real in itself. And he stops it there. So he will say things like that at the end. But this is Mandukya. You should be ready for uncomfortable things. All right, we'll stop here. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.